Welcome to Lunch with the Lord. This is Pastor Mark. We'll be looking at 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 today. And before we do, though, let's go over our theme verse. Jeremiah 15:16, Thy words were found, and I did eat them, and thy word was unto me the joy and rejoicing of my heart. So listen, let's let these words today that we get become a joy and a rejoicing in our heart. All right. Now, in 2 Peter chapter 2, we'll be looking at verse 9. But verse 9 refers back to verse 3. And verse 3 says, And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingers not, and their damnation slumbers not. And in verse 9, it's referring back to the second part of verse 3, says, whose judgment now of a long time, it's not lingering. Okay, it's not lingering. And their damnation is not slumbering. It's coming. And Peter is assuring the readers of Asia Minor that God's judgment upon the false prophets and the false teachers will come soon. And you think that that judgment is coming a long time, okay? But it's not. Remember, as we'll see in chapter 3, remember, one day is like 1,000 years to God, and 1,000 years is like a day to God. Time means nothing with God. God can do something tomorrow. God can do something 1,000 years from now. It doesn't matter to God. God is not limited. He doesn't live his life based upon the clock. All right? But remember, always remember, when that judgment upon the false prophets and false teachers comes, it's forever and ever and ever and ever. And there's no reprieve. There's no end. There's no, oh, come on over here and let's sip some soda for a little while, and then I'll take you back to judgment. No. That judgment is forever and ever, and doesn't end, never ends. Okay? It says, the Lord knows, verse 9, the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. It says, the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation. You know, Noah was in the midst of a chaotic, sinful world. Remember, in verses 4 to 8, Peter brings up two examples. The example of the time period before Noah and the example of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Noah was in a situation where the world was chaotic. The sin was at its peak. And God had to do something, but God saved Noah and his family. Noah, in verse 4, Noah, the preacher of righteousness, he was a godly man, and God did not allow Noah to receive the same judgment and punishment that the people did. Okay? In Sodom and Gomorrah, verse 6, the cities, Lot was there. And as we said in previous messages, he delivered just Lot, a righteous man. Now remember, when we looked at Lot's life, there was nothing about Lot's life that seemed righteous or just at all. But yet, because at some time in Lot's life, he believed God, he was saved. God delivered him out of that situation. God delivered him from that judgment that he brought upon Sodom and Gomorrah. And if God can do that with Noah and Lot, he can do it with you. He can deliver you out of the judgment that the unjust are going to receive. Okay? So, same thing. Are you living in a situation at home, or you go to work, and yet, or wherever the situation is, and that it's unhealthy for you spiritually? It's unhealthy for you? Maybe it almost seems demonic or evil. Listen, did you get into that same situation like Lot did? Remember, Lot fumbled and bumbled around, and he chose to go to Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, he chose that way. And sometimes we choose to get ourselves into a situation and we say, well, I'm such a terrible person. We start getting depressed and self-centered. I'm so terrible. I got myself into this situation. I guess it's only right that God judges me along with the unjust. Okay, God, go ahead, do it. Kill me or whatever. God says, no, not going to allow you to receive the judgment that the unjust receive. I'm going to deliver you out of it. So sometimes we bumble around and we get ourselves into situations where we shouldn't have been. We shouldn't have made those decisions and got ourselves. We're sinful. We're living in a sinful body. We don't always make the right decision. Sometimes we even purposely make a bad decision. Okay? But God saves the righteous from the unjust punishment. Even so, God knows how to deliver you. Remember, with God, there is always deliverance. There's always deliverance with God. And sometimes God delivers us while we're in the situation, in this life. And sometimes, listen, sometimes God delivers us from the situation out of this life. Turn to Isaiah chapter 57, verse 1. Very maybe difficult passage for you to listen to. But in Isaiah chapter 57, verse 1, it says, the righteous perishes, and no man lays it to heart. And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. You know, let me read this again. The righteous perishes, and no man lays it to heart. Merciful men and women who love God, serve God. What happened to them? They're taken away. They're gone. No one considers that the righteous, the person who's saved, remember, just Lot, just preacher of righteousness, Noah, that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. I remember back in between 1980 and 1982, I don't remember exactly when it was, but the church that I was going to at the time, there was a good friend of mine, and they had a son, and their son was 18 years old at the time, and he had just finished high school, and he loved God with all of his heart, was fervent in the church, and he had a desire. He wanted to go to Bible school. He was on his way. He already made plans. He was accepted into the Bible school, 18 years old, and he was on his way to Bible school. And that 2-month period between the time you finish high school and the time you go to college, it was during that 2-month period of time. Again, I don't remember exactly when, but he was killed. He was killed. He left his house. During the day, he got into his car, drove up the driveway. I only live 2 miles from his house. I know exactly the whole situation. He drove out of his driveway. He took a right, and he was driving on the back roads, and they were a little bit windy and hilly. Not hilly, but the road goes up and down, and they curved. Well, as he went around the corner, he was only half a mile from his house, not even that, hardly, a quarter of a mile. And he went around the corner. The corner bore around to the right, and as he's going around the corner, down the hill comes this big dump truck on his side of the road. On his side of the road. Boom. Hit, killed instantly. Everybody in the church was shocked. Everybody was devastated. Why, God? No one hated God for it, but we all had this question: why, God? Why did it happen? Why did you let it happen to him? He was just beginning his walk with you. He was just beginning to go to Bible school. He could have done great things. God, I don't understand this. Why? And we ask ourselves our same question: God, why did this baby die? God, why did this little 5-year-old boy or girl or 2-year-old die so soon? They didn't even hardly begin to live their life. They didn't do anything. And God, they could have been tremendous for you. Why did you let them die, God? And I always go back to this verse. I don't understand it, and no one really knows why it happened to him, or why it happens to a child, or why someone is taken home at 25 years old. I don't know. But I always go back to this. Possibly, this is the reason. Isaiah 57:1. The righteous perishes, and no man lays it to heart. Merciful men are taken away, and no one considers that the righteous is taken away. From what? From the evil to come. Maybe it's possible God saw ahead of time that there was evil in their life. Maybe God saw years from now in their heart they would turn from him. Or maybe God saw that they would be fervent and love him, but evil was planned from the outside to their life, and God wanted to spare them from the evil to come. I don't know. No one really knows. But it's possible God took them home early because something bad was planned in their life. Something bad was going to happen, and God saw it. And God said, I'm going to deliver you from the situation. I'm going to take you home early. You can spend eternity with me forevermore. And we look at it, we're devastated. But right now, I know he's in heaven forevermore. He's in a place of glory. But in our hearts, we're devastated. And we say, why? But God took him home, and now he's there with him, with God forevermore. And I know I'll see him. I know. I can't wait to see him again. When I see him, it'll be great. And then the last part of verse 9 says, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Don't think that the unjust will escape. God sees everything that they're doing, and they will be punished. They will be punished. Okay? But God knows how to deliver the just from the just people, how to deliver the saved from the punishment, from the judgment that God is going to bring upon the unjust. All right? Until next lesson, walk with the Lord. I know he walks with you.